When I watched the launch event of the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro this year, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The phones looked decent, so at first I thought it was just a presentation. That itself felt a little more corporate than usual. But then halfway through, I realized what it was. I've seen these phones before, sure not as OnePlus phones, but as the Oppo Find X2 Neo and Pro respectively. They're not exactly the same phones, of course, but especially the Pro models just have so much in common that Android Central actually called them, and I'm quoting, essentially the same phones, and said that you won't find two phones that are more similar. The software is different, of course, but they share so much hardware from the chipset and memory down to literally using the exact same display panels and even sharing some of the camera sensors. It is in fact easier to list the things they don't share, primarily materials used on the outside, one of the 3 cameras on the back, and wireless fast charging. Although that has since made its way into other Apple phones like the Reno series as well. I tweeted about these similarities after launch, and a viewer of mine pointed out to me that the phones even share model numbers, meaning that in the eyes of their makers, both the Pro and the non-Pro models are in fact just 2 different versions of the same phones, which makes total sense. Not only because both phones are made by Oppo in the exact same factory, so it makes sense to reduce R&D costs and simplify their supply chains. It also makes sense historically because that's how OnePlus got started. The first ever OnePlus phone was simply a version of the current Oppo Find series flagship at the time that it shared a ton of components with, and well after that initial model, the two companies moved away from each other in terms of products. OnePlus decided to focus on flagships while Oppo paused their flagship Find series for a few years. Now that the Find series is back, it makes sense that they'd go back to sharing resources again. But while sharing components makes sense in my opinion, I find their current approach really quite confusing. See, the last time the two companies shared a flagship, so back in 2014, they made sure that everything outside of the phones themselves about the two companies was different. The business, the brand, everything. OnePlus was in a sense created to be the anti-Opal OnePlus, sell phones exclusively on its website with an invite system to save costs, while Oppo pioneered an incredibly successful offline sales model. OnePlus focused primarily on Western markets while Oppo sold most of its phones in China. OnePlus specifically avoided any type of paid advertising to reduce costs, to the point where they actually wrote blog posts about it, while Oppo invested heavily into billboard, TV and other advertising and bought as many celebrity endorsements as it could. OnePlus had prices so aggressive that they actually undercut competitors like Samsung by half, while Oppo, due to their high marketing and sales costs, actually have to charge more for phones. And the list goes on. By the way, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss out on any future videos. The phones themselves might have been quite similar, but everything about the businesses was different. And when Oppo a year later decided to postpone their flagship series to focus on mid-range phones and said the decoupling seemed complete, there was just very little overlap between the two companies. But over the years, every one of those clear lines started to blur, because as I described, the original OnePlus strategy of focusing only on enthusiasts isn't sustainable on the long term. So OnePlus started to emulate the strategies of Oppo one by one, starting with marketing. They first introduced a simple online ad system, then a couple of minor celebrity endorsements, and fast forward a few years, they now have full-fledged big budget TV ads with a list of celebrities like Robert Downey Jr. That looks so similar to Oppo ads that I'd not be surprised if they didn't actually share an ad agency. And the same goes for sales channels. OnePlus first went to third-party online sellers like Amazon India, and then they made their own pop-up store, and fast forward to the 8 and 8 Pro, they finally went all out on the carriers. In the US, for example, their homepage literally became one big ad to get you to switch to Verizon or T-Mobile. Some of their models even physically feature a Verizon 5G logo on them. And in exchange, and Room Arsenic pointed out, this is what the Verizon homepage looked like for a couple of days. OnePlus fully embraced carriers, which is a vividly different business model with different margins than selling unlocked phones on their own website. And again, typically something we'd expect historically from Oppo and not OnePlus. And to blur those lines even further, the two companies also started overlapping each other geographically, as well as in most of their core markets except for the US. And unsurprisingly, by selling essentially the same phones in essentially the same countries and with essentially the same sales and marketing channels. The prices of the two companies also started converging. I mean, it's hard to get an exact comparison between the two, but just look at the Eurozone prices, where both of the Pro models were actually announced, and at first glance, you might actually think that hey, these actually look quite different. But look a little closer. The €899 price tag that OnePlus is touting everywhere is for the 8GB RAM plus 128GB model, while the Find X2, to the best of my knowledge, starts at a 12 plus 512GB configuration. Move that OnePlus up to 12 and 256 gigs and you're now at $999. And while they don't officially sell a 512GB version yet, one could assume that they would cost maybe around $1049 or more likely maybe $1099. Now, we could go back and forth discussing which of these phones is actually more worth it at their price points. But the point I'm trying to make here is that these two phones are in the same price category even at launch. And given the Oppo phones tend to get discounted way faster than the OnePlus phones do, it is not hard to imagine a scenario where maybe in a month or two from now, the Oppo flagship would actually cost less than the comparable OnePlus flagship now. Of course, those are just the prices in euros, and we do see that in some markets, especially in countries like India, OnePlus has maintained more aggressive prices, probably because they simply have to do to just how aggressive the competition is in those markets. So let me know what you think. What is your opinion on this in the comments below? Our conclusion turns out to be OnePlus and Oppo are essentially kind of the same, even though they're trying to make it clear that they aren't. Their phones are way similar. So let me know what you thought in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more future videos. This has been Eradication signing off, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.